I'm James. Before I dive into my story, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. I'm 25, and I've got a physical disability that affects how I move around. It's been a part of me since birth, but it doesn't define who I am, at least. That's what I keep telling myself. Living with my family has always been interesting, to say the least. My little sister, Sarah, she's the real MVP. She's always had my back and has never made me feel different. But my grandmother, Evelyn, that's a whole other story. James, dear, why don't you stay in your room when we have company? Evelyn's sugary sweet voice makes me cringe every time. I've lost count of how many times I've heard that line. It's like she thinks I'm some dirty secret she needs to hide away. Grandma, James is part of this family too. Sarah always jumps to my defense. Bless her heart. You should see the look on Evelyn's face when Sarah does that. It's like she swallowed a whole lemon. Anyway, Sarah's high school graduation is coming up, and I'm pumped. My little sis is going to rock that stage, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. I can't wait to see you in that cap and gown, Sarah, I tell her one evening. Thanks, James, I'm so glad you'll be there, she beams. But then, I overhear something that makes my blood run cold. Evelyn is arguing with my parents in the kitchen. You can't seriously be considering letting James attend the graduation party, Evelyn hisses. What will people think? Mom, he's our son, my dad says, sounding tired. Of course he's coming. But think of the impression it'll make. All those important people will be there, Evelyn insists. I will myself away before I can hear more. My hands are shaking as I grip the wheels of my chair. Hey, you okay? Sarah asks, catching me in the hallway. I force a smile. Yeah, just thinking about your big day. But inside, I'm a mess. Will I ever be good enough for Evelyn? Will she ever see me as more than just my disability? As the days tick down to Sarah's graduation, I can feel the tension building. Evelyn's always finding excuses to keep me out of sight when guests come over. It's like she's rehearsing for the big day, trying to figure out how to make me disappear. But I'm not going anywhere. This is my family too, and I've got just as much right to be there as anyone else. Sarah's graduation is coming, and no matter what Evelyn thinks, I'll be there to cheer her on. The big day finally arrives. I wake up early, determined to look my best for Sarah's graduation party. No way was I going to let Evelyn's attitude reign on this parade. You look sharp, bro, Sarah grins as she passes my room. Thanks, sis, you're going to knock 'em dead. Today, I could hear the bustle downstairs as people started to arrive. The doorbell kept ringing, and laughter floated up the stairs. My palms were sweating as I wheeled myself toward the hallway. James, dear, Evelyn's voice chirped. Could you help me with something in the attic? We need more decorations. I hesitated. The attic? That didn't sound right. Can't someone else do it? Grandma? I want to greet the guests. Oh, it'll just take a minute. I need your unique perspective. Against my better judgment, I followed her up the makeshift ramp to the attic. As soon as I entered, I heard the door slam behind me. Grandma, what's going on? I called out. The lock clicked, and my heart sank. I'm sorry, James, this is for the best. We can't have you distracting from Sarah's big day. I couldn't believe it. I banged on the door, shouting at the top of my lungs, but the music from downstairs drowned me out. Hours passed, and I could hear the muffled sounds of the party below, laughter, speeches, clinking glasses, and here I was, trapped like some dirty secret. Hey, where's James? I heard Sarah's voice faintly through the floorboards. Oh, he wasn't feeling well, dear. He's resting in his room, Evelyn lied smoothly. My blood boiled. How could she do this? I don't know how long I was up there. It felt like an eternity. The party sounds faded, replaced by the noise of cleaning up. Then, finally, footsteps on the attic stairs. James, oh my God, James, it was Mom and Dad. They looked horrified as they helped me out. Downstairs, all hell broke loose. You did what? Sarah screamed at Evelyn. How could you? I was protecting this family's reputation, Evelyn snapped back. Do you have any idea what people would think? I don't give a darn what people think. He's my brother, Sarah shot back, her voice filled with defiance. Mom and Dad stood there, looking torn. Mom, this is unacceptable, Dad finally said. You ungrateful, Evelyn sputtered. After everything I've done for this family. I wheeled myself into the center of the room, and everyone fell silent. You know what, Evelyn? I'm done. Done trying to meet your impossible standards. Done feeling ashamed of who I am. This is the last straw. James, Evelyn started, but I cut her off. No, I don't want to hear it. You locked me away like I was nothing on one of the most important days of Sarah's life. There's no coming back from that. The room was dead silent. Sarah came over and put her hand on my shoulder. He's right, Grandma, what you did is unforgivable. Evelyn looked around the room, but found no allies. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes, fear that she'd finally gone too far. As for me, I was done being the family's secret. From now on, I was going to live my life on my own terms, and if Evelyn couldn't handle that, well, that was her problem, not mine. The weeks after the graduation party incident were rough. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal and anger. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back in that attic, alone and forgotten. James, you need to eat something, Sarah said, placing a plate next to me. I'm not hungry, I mumbled, staring blankly at the TV. Sarah sighed. I've decided to postpone college for a year. I want to be here for you. I turned to her, shocked. What? No, you can't do that. Your future. You're more important right now, she insisted. Her words hit me hard. I realized I needed to do something, not just for myself, but for her too. The next day, I called a therapist. It wasn't easy, but talking helped. Slowly, I started to process what had happened. Have you considered volunteering? My therapist suggested one day. There's a local disability rights organization looking for help. I decided to give it a shot. On my first day, as I wheeled into their office, I felt a sense of belonging I'd never experienced before. Welcome aboard, James, the coordinator, Lisa, greeted me warmly. As I got more involved, I found myself speaking at small events. To my surprise, people listened. They cared about what I had to say. You've got a real talent for this, Lisa told me after one presentation. Encouraged, I started a blog to share my experiences and thoughts on disability rights. It was terrifying at first, putting myself out there like that. Then one day, I received a notification. My latest post had gone viral. James, have you seen this? Sarah exclaimed, showing me her phone. You're trending. As my following grew, so did my confidence. I was making a difference, and it felt amazing. Then, one afternoon, there was a knock at the door. It was Evelyn. James, I came to apologize, she said, her voice trembling. I looked at her and saw the guilt in her eyes, but the pain was still too fresh. I appreciate you coming, Evelyn, but I'm not ready to forgive you, I said firmly. She nodded, understanding, and turned to leave. I caught my parents watching from the kitchen, and something in their eyes had changed. A few days later, I received an unexpected call. It was from a company that organized motivational speaking events. We've seen your blog, James. We'd love to have you speak at our next conference. I couldn't believe it. Me, a motivational speaker? Go for it, bro, Sarah encouraged when I told her. Standing, or rather, sitting, on that stage for the first time was terrifying, but as I began to speak, sharing my story of struggle and resilience, I felt a power I'd never known before. You all have the strength to overcome any obstacle, I told the audience. Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are. The applause was deafening. As I looked out at the sea of faces, some with tears in their eyes, I realized something. Evelyn's cruel act hadn't broken me. It had set me free. I was no longer the family secret hidden away in shame. I was James, a disability rights advocate and motivational speaker, and I was just getting started. 2 years flew by in a whirlwind of speeches, blog posts, and advocacy work. Then came the email that changed everything. You've been selected as the keynote speaker for the National Disability Rights Conference, Lisa told me, her voice buzzing with excitement. My heart raced. This was the big leagues. The day of the conference arrived, and as I peered out from backstage, I saw the massive auditorium filled to the brim. In the front row sat Mom, Dad, and Sarah, beaming with pride. Evelyn's absence was a relief. And now, please welcome our keynote speaker, James Wilson. As I wheeled onto the stage, the applause was thunderous. I took a deep breath and began. 2 years ago, I was locked in an attic during my sister's graduation party. You could hear a pin drop as I shared my story. Tears glistened in many eyes, including my family's, but that moment of cruelty became my catalyst for change. It taught me that our greatest challenges can become our greatest strengths. As I finished, the crowd erupted. Phones flashed as people shared my story on social media. Within hours, my speech had gone viral. #JamesWilsonStory was trending nationwide. James, You're all over the internet, Sarah exclaimed, showing me her phone. The fallout was swift. My old blog post resurfaced, painting a vivid picture of Evelyn's past behavior. Did you hear? Evelyn's been asked to resign from the hospital board, Mom said one evening, her voice a mix of sadness and vindication. One by one, Evelyn's social circles distanced themselves from her. The woman who once ruled the local elite was now a pariah. Meanwhile, my career soared. I was invited to speak at schools, corporations, and even at a TED Talk. I sat proudly, watching Sarah walk across the stage at her college graduation. We did it, bro, she whispered, hugging me tight after the ceremony. That night at dinner, Dad cleared his throat. We've decided to cut ties with Evelyn, he announced. What she did, we can't move past it. I nodded, feeling a complex mix of emotions. It was the right decision, but it wasn't easy. As for Evelyn, I heard through the grapevine that she was living alone, regretful and isolated. Part of me felt sorry for her, but a larger part felt vindicated. One sunny afternoon, as I sat in my office reviewing speaking requests, I had an epiphany. I think I'm going to write a book, I announced to Sarah over dinner. Her eyes lit up. That's amazing. What about everything? The attic, the struggle, the triumph? I want to turn my pain into a platform for change. As I began outlining my book that night, I reflected on my journey, from a young man hidden away in shame to a respected activist changing lives. The road had been hard, but I wouldn't change a thing. Chapter 1, The Attic. I typed, feeling a surge of empowerment. This book wouldn't just be my story, it would be a beacon of hope for anyone who's ever felt trapped, whether by circumstances or by the prejudices of others. As I wrote, I realized something profound. Evelyn had tried to lock me away to make me invisible. Instead, she had set me on a path to become more visible than ever before. My voice, once silenced, was now reaching millions, and I was just getting started. The story of James, his struggle, and ultimate triumph has come to an end. Now I have a question for you. If you were in James's position, would you ever forgive Evelyn for what she did? Or do you believe some actions are truly unforgivable? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters, and it could help others who might be facing similar challenges in their lives. If this story resonated with you, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more stories of resilience and triumph, hit that subscribe button. Together, we can spread awareness and inspire change, one story at a time.